all these people saying that Rodri don't deserve the Ballon d'Or, that Vinicius Junior is ahead of him by far. See, let me tell you, even though Vinicius Junior is ahead of him, but you can't just say Vinicius Junior is ahead of him by far. Let me tell you, if you rate this team based on individual records only, Rodri is 10 times ahead of Vinicius Junior based on individual records. If you rate it only on individual record, Rodri is 10 times better and ahead of Vinicius Junior in individual records. And I think that was what the Ballon d'Or people or the officials to give Rodri this award. So you can't just judge it this way by you just saying Vinicius Junior is the best. How? Though he took the Champions League, okay, and he was the best player in that Champions League, yes. Rodri also took a Premier League, which Vinicius took their League Cup. Rodri took a Premier League, okay. Rodri took the Euros. And you know, Euros, a country trophy, has more weight than Champions League. Euros has more weight than Champions League. Rodri was the best player of the tournament in Euros. Rodri had many individual records. Rodri broke football records. He had the longest unbeaten streak in football. Only that alone, and the Euros has already qualified him. Only that alone, and the Euros has already qualified Rodri to be ahead of Vinicius Junior. Vinicius Junior only had the Champions League. That was the biggest thing he had, the Champions League. But if you check it well, Rodri had Euros. Rodri was the best player of the tournament in Euros. Rodri broke some individual records. Don't just rate Vinicius Junior because he's a winger, because he's always with the ball. Don't just rate him like that. If you watch Man City ball, I know that many of these guys now saying that Vinicius Junior is more ahead of Rodri in this Ballon d'Or. It's because you don't watch Man City game. You don't watch Manchester City game. That's why. You don't watch Man City's game. That's why. Because you see Vinicius Junior only in Champions League and you don't watch Man City game to see how Rodri holds the midfield. Rodri's performance was a top-notch last season. So don't just say they robbed Vinicius Junior. This was a competition. The two players did excellently well last season. So they deserve it. Rodri deserves this Ballon d'Or. Rodri deserves it. Don't just see Vinicius as a winger or as a striker who is always a playmaker. Because he dribbles, Vinicius in the Champions League, Vinicius is the ball boy in the Champions League. In the Champions League, he is the playmaker in the Champions League. But when it comes to the Euros, Rodri had more of the Euros. And I will always say, the Euros, a country trophy, is more bigger or it has weight than Champions League. Euros has more weight than Champions League. World Cup has more weight than Champions League. That was why Messi won the Ballon d'Or against Erling Haaland.